Hello and welcome to the Analyser. We're racing at Flemington this Saturday. There's been plenty of rain around in Melbourne, and Dave Strelaw joining me as always. Dave, I think we're looking for horses that handle wet ground.
We certainly are, but we're happy to be back at Flemington as well. But that rain has been around, so this heavy track that's at Flemington, look, if it improves, it's a soft 7 at best, but I'm not sure it'll all that much.
Listening to Liam this morning, he said it's basically a 9, but he thinks it's in between an 8 and a 9, and by race day it'll get back to an 8.
That rail 8 metres, I think they'll continue to edge off the fence as the meeting goes on. That wind, it's not that strong, but it's from the west. That's a block headwind in the straight. So in those straight track races, I've advantaged horses that are going to get some cover.
Yeah, I tend to agree. So maybe they'll, as you said, work away from the inside as the meeting progresses. Just look for a little bit of cover in the home straight as we get a market for the first. And this is down the straight, and there's a key scratching because it was Dave's best bet on the program. It was mine as well. Stars of Dom comes out for Lindsay Park. It leaves Vega Vixen, the 260 favourite, ahead of Divine Dot. And there's been a little bit of support for the Lindsay Park debutant in Profumo at $6. So going to have a look at a couple of replays here, starting with the favourite in Vega Vixen, who is quite impressive on debut. Does go from dry track perfect run to wet track down the straight. That would be my query, but there's no ceiling on her, is there?
No, there isn't, but there are several queries. In terms of the best run in racing, you got two leaders sort of eyeballing each other, then your third in isolation with the drop on them. It is the best run in racing. The wind was soft on the line, but I think those two up front were entitled to take a few short steps late. Now she goes from the Heath track to straight down the Flemington. I diddle over this trip, so I was happy to be against her. Maybe they scratched Stars of Dom because they were scared that she was going to win by too much. So it's a bit disappointing that that horse has come out of the race. So in terms of my opinions, they're not that strong.
Yeah, with Stars of Dom out, there is one horse that interests me here, and it's from the same stable in Profumo. So I thought he might have been up against it, beating the stablemate, given she was so impressive on debut. However, I really like this latest jump out from this galloper on debut for the Lindsay Park stable, who have such a strong hand with their 2-year-olds. He sat back, came wide, and his last 100 in this jump out was really strong work, as was his work through the line. Now, he's drawn wide, 1100 on debut. I don't know if he's the type that's going to jump and run. He's probably going to be spotting the likes of Divine Dot and Vega Vixen a start. So there's things against him, but at $6, given how well he jumped out, I'm just going to have something small with a $5 bet. And I note the price has already come in since I put those stakes out, but something small just to make him a winner for me in the race. What about you, Dave?
I thought the stablemate Alpine Point also jumped out okay, but Divine Dot has the race experience, will go forward. Not much between it and Vega Vixen. At least Divine Dot has handled a big track like the Hillside. He's fit, likes a wet track, but I'm staying out.
Yeah, if it was 1,000 metres, she'd be clear top pick for me, Divine Dot. The end of 1,100, I thought she might be a little vulnerable. So Profumo, a small bet for me. In the first at Flemington, where Dave and I were both disappointed to see Stars of Dom scratch. Maybe we'll see her another day. Let's get a market for the second at Flemington and Medea. Lindsay Park dominating this race. 460 into 350. Fearless Freddie's been 7 to 6. Territorian 11 into 8 is in great form. Ant's been a really big go, 16 into 850, and Momet's 12 into $9. Been a couple of deductions, but still a few backed at prices. Dave, you like a couple here. Let's start with Ant, who comes through the race that also featured the Lindsay Park galloper that has been scratched from the race. Oriental Smoke. But, gee, I think he goes pretty close here, Ant, if he gets clear galloping room.
Unfortunately, the Ant got squished because he was looking for a run, the little fella, and he just couldn't dart through. This was a slow race. They were home hard. His last 600 on the program was actually really high rating, and he'd never got a crack at them. You can see there's a lot to offer. He didn't quite come up last preparation, but you looked back to his previous form last winter, and he relishes heavy tracks as well. Now, I think he's going to be better once he gets to 2,000 metres, but he's basically had a barrier trial there first up. Now he draws out 16, big track, heavy track, can blend in the running line. They went up a silly price. I think he might need one more to come out to get a run as well. He's accepted at Mornington on Monday. I hope they go to Flemington.
Correct. The positive is Jai McNeil goes on. He's been booked, so they're just waiting on one more scratching as we record the Analyser. Horse that's not waiting on a scratching is Fearless Freddie. He comes through a race, you can tie his form in with Ant through Oriental Smoke, who he was very good finishing alongside first up. Then he went to Adelaide and maybe a bit unlucky not to win, but regardless, it was a good run.
It was. That first up run at Bendigo was off a very long break as well, some 18 months. So to run on the way he did against the race shape was good, and just didn't quite pick up when the sprint went on, but I really liked his work through the line at Murray Bridge. it was a slow race, and his last 600 metres was really high rating relative to the rest of the day. He was 13 lengths off the lead at 1,000 in a race that didn't go hard, so he virtually had no chance. He's another one, a big track. He's handled soft 6 overseas as well, and his best numbers overseas are really good. So third up off that long spell, I expect he runs well. I'm keen on the chances of Ant and Fearless Freddie. Moments is one that's also going to get back, but was very strong to the line on that pretty much heavy track at Sandown last start. Medea, happy to bet around her wet track.
Yeah, I'm really happy to bet around her on the wet ground. She might handle it, she might win, but at that price, I don't want to find out. Similar to me, same top 3, just in a different order, and I'm going to back a couple of them, Momets and Ant. I think Momets is ready up to the mile, and I think he likes wet ground for all the reasons you've outlined. Ant, for all the reasons you've outlined, Fearless Freddie. And Territory, I'm not sure about the wet, but he's flying and he can win. So an even race, but Dave and I are keen to back a couple at nice odds as we get a market with Ladbrokes for the 3rd race. And Flying Dun, who was so good first up, it's been very easy in the market. $3.80 out to $5. They've come for Dernisy. You don't see him too often be 11 into $5.50 off a Mildura benchmark 56 win, but huge drop in weight. Paddy Payne stable up in distance. Kalio's at $6.50, Belmez Yarn at $7.50, and Berlamont's been well supported, 11 into $8.50. Is also in on Monday. A couple of replays here. Flying Dun was very good first up. Now, I know he led at a slow speed, Dave, but he's beaten by a very good one in Concord Connie, and it was not an easy day for leaders.
Really difficult day for leaders. No leaders won. A lot of them were capitulating, even ones that were up on slow tempo. So to do this first up and give a really nice filly like Concord Connie weight and fitness, this really put the writing on the wall that he's in for a nice preparation. He has won on a soft 7 at Warrnambool. The race didn't rate, but I went back and listened to the post-race with Dean Yennell, and he seemed to think he handled it okay as well. So he'll go forward and control things. He's got to carry the weight, but I'm pretty confident he's the best horse in this race. I think in time he's going to make a Group 2,000 metre horse. And at $5, we make him a result. Kaleo got through the wet track last start with that really lightweight at Sandown. Dernisy, the one that it beat home last start, is 1 from 20. It was a low race, but it was a dominant performance. Some question mark on the wet, but on the up and misrevealing another one that's got a bit of race fitness. But I like the best horse in the race, Flying Dun.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why I've put him on top. I haven't had a bet. I'm tossing and turning whether to make Flying Dun a bet. Just Kaleo looks ready to win. I love the way he went in the wet last time out. Dernisy, a massive weight drop, stable, airborne. More than anything, though, the rise in distance, I think he'll relish. And Belmez Yarn on the back up off a good run last time out. I think they're the chances. Flying Dun, I think, deserves to be favourite, but no bets for me at this stage. We'll head to a break on the Analyser. We'll be back with races 4 to 6 at Flemington, and I know we're keen to bet in some of them. Welcome back to the Analyser. Time now to get a market with Ladbrokes for race 4 at Flemington on Saturday. This is for the 3-year-olds over 1,200 metres. Wise In Law really well back, 480 to 370. Biologix is rock solid at 450. Higher on the hill on the back up at 5. Barari, a good wet track at 950. Then a Snelly Gaster in form, $10 with Kingsbury. Now look at one replay here, Dave, and it's Biologix. So I had a big opinion of her based off her debut win at Pakenham where she beat Mareth and others and looks really good doing it. Don't know if she came up during the spring, and then we heard from Graham Begg this prep that she had a little setback going into it, and in hindsight he would have put her away. So now she comes back, beats a weak field dominantly. Had this been on good ground, I'd have a clear top pick and a bet. Heavy ground by I'm Invincible is my worry. What about you?
The run that she had relative to the pattern of the day was good. The runner-up Lantana actually goes okay.
Yes,
Gap to the
and
rest.
she was hard fit.
Yeah, and really good closing sections, fastest last 2 of the day, and it looks soft on the line. If I got a price about her, say $7, I'd back her.
Yep.
She's just too well found because she's got to go to a new level, but she might get the right run. Kingsbury, blinkers on, back to 12 might suit. Wise In Law, it was a high-rating performance last start, did it both ends. Milos Philos backed up and won since, but got to go dry to wet, high on the hill. He's a horse that doesn't mind getting the toe into the ground on the backup.
Not a betting race for me. Like you, I'd need a way bigger price to take that risk on heavy ground. A good track, though, I might be pretty just about happy to bet. High on the hill, handles wet ground was good last week on the backup. Wise In Law, yeah, dry to wet, short enough given that and wasn't the right part of the track. Might be again. Barari, a good wet tracker that's fitting in form. If I could get the outside gate at $9.50, I'd bet, not from the inside gate. Let's get a market for the 5th in one that I know we're keen to bet into. This is for the fillies and mares. Benchmark 84, 1400. First chorus on the back up after a dominant win, 280. Duchess Zoo's the one they've come for though, 380 into $3. Likewise Stylish, 14 into 750. And at a bigger price, Miss Aria has been 21 into $13. They've backed a few in this race outside of the favourite. Let's have a look at Duchess Zoo, Dave, who was very good getting back onto soft ground, which I think is the key for her. Like, we saw her disappoint on firm ground, but she just wants giving the track, doesn't she?
She does. In the Stewards report after her poor performance at betting on a good 3, the jock noted that she just wants to get her toe into the ground. She got the conditions to suit. Look, she had every favour last start. She sat up on speed. They went slow. She had no weight, so she was able to quicken away. But she really did relish the conditions. And her map on Saturday is very favourable. There's no other speed in the race. She draws barrier 1 to control things. Her career peak is at Flemington over 1,400 metres as well. So deep into the preparation, I expect she gives a sight. And I was a bit surprised there was such a gap between her and first chorus in those early markets.
Yeah, so was I, like going 14 to 14 as opposed to week race 16, back in distance on the week back up. The one I was really surprised, and I wasn't quick enough to get the early price, was Miss Aria. So you line her, and you can't really do this as a way to make money, but you line her same track and distance on the same day. I think this was a higher rating performance. Now, factor the weight into it. She had no weight this day. Now she gets right up in the weights. That's why you're getting that price discrepancy between her and the Kieran Maher trained galloper there in Duchess Zoo. She wasn't in the best part of the track here, though, and I thought the run contained plenty of merit. You go back to the track and distance at Flemington 2 starts ago, she just about should have won against Big Swinger and King Zephyr. So it's 2 years between wins, but I think she's the best horse in the race and she's got excellent wet track form at a big price. How are you playing race 5?
I'm going to have a bet on Duchess Zoo. Look, it has shortened a bit, just $15, but I thought that initial price discrepancy between Duchess Zoo and first chorus gave us a betting opportunity. Academy is pretty fit as well and stylish. Might need the run, very wet track first up, but I thought the jump out's been quite good.
Yeah, it took me a while to come around to this bet. I first looked at the race and didn't think I'd find her, but gee, I think Miss Aria is arguably the best horse in the race. I think she's going a lot better than the form guide suggests. Her wet track form's excellent. She's going to be back. She's got a big weight, but at $13, I'm very happy to back her each way at the price. We're going to market with Ladbrokes for race 6 now. This is the boys' version of the previous race, which is a 1,400 metre 84. And Spione's solid at $4.60. Interestingly, Heel Rip's been well back, 750 to 480. LEU just firms in slightly to 550, then it's cap at 39, and it's a knockout. There's a few horses in this race, Dave, that are big queries on wet ground. You know, the one that they've backed, Heel Rip, excellent on soft ground. His only heavy track exposure was poor. We know this guy, LOU, loves heavy tracks. I liked him each way last time. I'm putting him on notice. I thought he was half disappointing. No excuses now. Third up, 1,400 on the back up. Time to stand up.
I know it was a weird race, but he probably can't see he's done hot 2 down on that fence, shielded by those ones on the inside as well. So he had the run of the race on that outside division. I expected him to be a little bit better to the line, but he is on that back up. We know he likes wet track conditions. He's in the mix, but I do have some little question marks on the end of 1,400 metres for him if he's not controlling the race, and I don't think he controls this.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. I think he takes a sit behind what looks a good speed. What about this guy? You probably know your Sydney form a little better than I do with Spione. A lot was publicised about this performance. It was his second heavy track run. His previous one, he won well. This was probably a slightly stronger race than he tackles as well. He does drop back to 1,400. I thought he was the one that... Heavy ground 1,400 is going to be really thumping the line late.
Well, they wanted him a bit closer, and then he's ended up on the outside fence. He just peaks on the run there. He was 11.5 lengths off the lead at the 800 and then ridden against instruction. No issue with him in the wet. He was in the wrong part of the track a couple back in a benchmark 88 Saturday grade and ran the fastest last 600 metres of the day as well. So I think he'll be in the mix. He's short enough. There's one that we couldn't find a replay for, Velas Machine, because I couldn't find any vision of the Geelong jump out. It's a bit of a...
Wet the key for him, is that
Yeah, it's a bit of a speculator. His career best performance was early in his career on a big track. But
on the softest track he's seen.
Exactly right. So I think he'll relish getting his toe into the ground. From Hill Rip, who has been found in the market, but he missed a little bit of work. He had a laceration on his foot or leg and just missing some work, heavy track run. His best would measure up, but it left me out of him at the price from LAU Road Cone. probably needs another one, but something small each way on Velas Machine.
Yeah, I'm keen to back 2 here. I've made this my biggest betting race of the day. I'm going to spend $40 and have 20, get a better result at a LOU, who I think will be closer to the speed than Spioni, but I expect one of the two to win. So I'm going to have $20 on each of them and hope that one of those two can win and make it my best bet on the program. We'll head to a break here on the Analyser. On the other side, we'll be back with the final 3 races and more bets at Flemington. Welcome back to the Analyser. Time now to get a market for race 7 at Flemington Saturday, and I think this is the highlight on the program. Stars in Their Eyes, down from Sydney, went up very short, 260 out to 360. Chocolates has been supported, 650 to 460, down in the weights. Probably the most interesting runner on the program, Zaran at 550. Brave Miss looks your leader, she's been 13 to 7, and then a bit of specking for a couple of roughies as well. Let's start with this horse that opened favourite, Dave. Could you justify him being so short in the early betting? I must admit, I was very surprised he went up so short given the amount of quality in this field.
Yeah, the race is deep. The reason why I went up short is because with his weight drop, it adjusts the ratings that he's run a couple runs this preparation to race best as well. So the market has wanted to keep him safe. First up 1,800 metres Hawkesbury, he gave the winner of that race like 8 kilos and stuck on well. The other two here, Tazima to the inside, the one on the outside, he gave weight to as well, gaps back through the rest. That was a deteriorating track as well. So although on the clock the time was only fair, I think that's a little bit unfair. What he gets is map favours though. There's a few horses here that are going to be competitive and potentially in the finish that he will get a head start on.
There's no doubt he's one of the winning chances in an open race. I think he's a great hope. I just think he's too short at the price. Let's have a look at the horse that, if we were on a good 4, Dave, I think if I could get 550 on a good 4, he'd be my best bet on the program. It was Zaran. His first Australian start was an eye-catching performance. He only gets clear inside the 400. He rattles home in some of the quickest closing splits of the day off a slow speed. He looks so much better suited rising in distance, and I think he's going to be a group horse. My big concern is the conditions, given the one time he saw wet ground. I know it was in a world-class race. He did struggle.
It is a big asterisk, isn't it? Because, you know, he'd been quickening really well on dry ground, then he sees a track with a bit of give in it, and it's the only fail in his career. But he was in a hopeless position then, fastest last 200 metres of the day, and now they claim down 3 kilos.
Yeah, if he gets through the ground and he's not too far back in an impossible position, I think he'll win, but it's a huge if, given the previous time he's seen wet ground. Let's have a look at a couple of horses, or 3 in fact, coming through a race at Sandown. It features Cadmus, Virtuous Circle, Chocolates. Now, this was a very slowly run race, so I think we have to be extremely forgiving of Chocolates and Virtuous Circle, given how far back they were. They did run the fastest and second fastest last 200 metres of the race. And look, I think Chocolates can settle closer from gate 1, third up to 2,000, Dave. The one that I think is the wrong price, though, is Virtuous Circle. There wasn't much between their runs. Ocean Beyond just gets in his way a little bit over the concluding stages. And I do think, given his heavy track record, third up to 2,000 metres, I know he hasn't won in 2 years. He might be in the game, finally.
He likes Flemington and also meets Chocolates 3.5 kilos better off at the weight. I found him in my numbers. Chocolates could also win the race, got a lightweight. Just barrier 1, it keeps being a negative for her as well. Probably wants further. Zaran on top, but I'm with you with those question marks around the surface. I'm not going to bet. Stars in Their Eyes brings those good ratings. Brave Miss, ready to peak, will ride the speed. Yeah,
I might just make Zaran on the day so I don't lose if he wins, because I'd be filthy. But I haven't got him in my numbers because I am concerned about the ground. I'm going to back a couple of roughies here. Virtuous Circle, for the reasons outlined, loves wet ground. Flemington 2,000 metres perfect, third up, ready to peak. Off a couple of runs to suggest he might be back this prep. He was the quickest closing splits of the race first up. And Bold Soul, he was an eye-catcher first up, stable flying, up in distance, maybe can get a little bit closer. At $20, look, they're both firmed up significantly in the Ladbrokes market. I'm going to have them both 1 by 4. Small bets at big prices. We're going to mark it now for the 8th of 9 at Flemington, and this is for the 3-year-olds over 2,000 metres. Big go for Brave Danza here, 950 into 450. This market's doing plenty. Rocket's been 11 to 6. She's got the cash at 750. Seriously, hot 850. Arabian Prince into $13. You've got Emperor Zoo at 14, Noble Work and Certify $14, $15. So a really open race. Brave Dancer, Dave, was well found by yourself on the show last time out. He was the best weighted horse at the meeting. He loses that and he goes from good to wet. I thought there's a couple of other good runs here. She's Got the Cash and Obvious from a long way back at 101 outperforms their price. And Soldier Boy just didn't have a really favourable run, but his last 200 was one of the quickest in the race.
No, I was happy to look around this as a form reference. The winner of the race, Brave Dancer, you mentioned that weight. It is a 5 kilo weight swing on the others, and She's Got the Cash with that 5 kilo swing probably finishes right next to him. You mentioned that Soldier Boy a bit lucky towards the inside, so I was happy to look to another couple of form references to find the winner here.
Well, we've said it for several years now in these 2,000 metre three-year-old races. Look for the different form. Usually the different form comes to the fore. Let's have a look at some of it. It could be seriously hot. He's the one rising in distance. I think this is much stronger form than the 2,000 metre race, like beating the likes of Kaleo and also the good filly there that
Verona Rose.
Verona Rose, yeah.
It was a nice performance. What I liked about it, though, even though he's a question mark to 2,000 metres, you can just see at the 100 metre mark, he changes his legs, and then Kaleo with the very light weight of 51 kilos sort of looms up, and then when it looms up, he just holds that margin. He'll go forward. He sat outside the leader at Ballarat a couple back, and Soldier Boy was 3 wide outside the leader. And Seriously Hot dropped Soldier Boy cold, and he loves wet tracks and should go forward and control things. If he sees out the trip, he'll be right in the finish. That's
the big F for me, the trip. We're going to have a look at another replay, but you're right, he did drop Soldier Boy that day over 1,600. This is Noble Work, who runs the quickest closing splits of a weaker race last time out, but he does fit that bill of rising in trip, different form. It's easy to make a case for him.
He does, and you can see his progression with what he's done with Lady Sadler. He finished on the heels of Lady Sadler first up. Lady Sadler's in this race, comes off her back, weaves through, and is able to quicken and beat that horse home. So he's clearly on the up this preparation. Another one that hasn't been to 2,000 metres, but he's one that last prepped third up around a big new peak when he went to Pakenham. And just look at his work through the line here. It is lovely. And well, Maldini's been competitive enough in some 3-year-old races as well. So I don't think it's the worst form line. Look, he'll probably get back, blend in, have last crack. I think he can run well, as can Seriously Hot. At the prices, I make them both a result. I can tie in Soldier Boy to Seriously Hot through their run at Ballarat.
Yeah, I was tossing and turning between 5, 6, 7 runners to go in my top 4. In the end, I've found 3. I'm going to back 3 horses. Rockhead I wanted to back, but she's been 14 to 6. I don't want to back her at $6. I'm going to back Arabian Prince, Certify and Soldier Boy. They're all similar prices. Arabian Prince has attracted some support. I know we spoke about him being maybe a Jericho Cup horse that he wants further. I've gone back and looked at his last couple of replays. He might just be a 2,000 metre horse that promises that he wants further but actually doesn't want it. Down in grade, it's D-Day for him. Certified was great in a rough habit. He can settle way closer from an inside draw, and we've outlined the case for Soldier Boy. So a few at double figures for me in what Dave and I have both outlined is a really open race. We'll go to the last now, and speaking of open races, $6 the field here, and it's Superfund and Rosa Aotearoa at the top. Ka Ying Ching's probably going to come out. He's at $6.50. Mark Dell's been 12 into 8. Zappo's at $8.50. Still Move 9. Midtown Boss $9.50. Celsius Star 10. Wowee, that is a condensed market, Dave. Let's have a look at the horse sharing favouritism in Superfund, who's got a great first up record and just a great overall record in general.
This is what he did first up last preparation when he ran past Ruda Royale in what was a race that ran time at Ballarat.
I think that's probably significant. This is the softest track he's seen too.
Exactly right. He really enjoyed getting his toe into the ground. He comes off the back of stablemate Scampy, who loves wet tracks as well. So this was clearly the best performance of his career. I did think visually leading into this run at Ballarat, his jump outs were a bit more impressive than what they were this time in, but he probably gets the right run with a bit of cover, midfield, towards the middle to the outside, and he can unleash that turn of foot. He should be right in the finish.
Yeah, 1,100 would have been probably better as well, but that was a good field he beat. Brutal Royale, as you mentioned, back in behind, and the 4th horse goes pretty well too with a massive gap to 5th. This is the other horse in this race that I quite like, and I've got him on top in Mark Dell. His form since joining the Williams team has been excellent. Won at Ballarat against the pattern, dropped back to 1,000, which I just thought was against him. He was back wide in a race that was won from on pace, and he runs the fastest closing splits of the meeting, Dave. He just screams 1,200 metres, and I know it was officially a 6, but realistically, this track was downgraded and was basically a 7 throughout.
Spot on, no issue with the conditions. That win at Ballarat you referenced was significant because he was the only horse to win off-fence running on that hot rails day. Worked to the line there good. He gets the right run. I think by this stage of the day, they'll be towards the outside fence. He's cluttered up. They just save him up for one last crack. If they sit up front as well and he's within striking distance, he'll be powering home. He's racing very well. And he strings a couple runs together, which he hasn't so far in quite a while. I'll back Mark Dell and also Superfund. Steel Move, probably, I think he's going around in the Golden Topaz today, so I'll have to find another one there. Moby Dick, don't leave him out of your quaddie. He's a wet tracker and likes Flemington.
Yeah, I'll just have to have something on him.
But he's no good.
For mental health, he's a thief. Mark Dell, Superfund, same bet, but I want to make Mark Dell a much better result. Great Maximus is a very good wet tracker. And El Soleado, I'm having just the tiniest 1x4. His trial was outstanding. And he nearly won this race first up off a similar break 12 months ago. How are we spending your money on Saturday, Dave?
Unfortunately, the best bet has come out, but I'm backing Ant and Fearless Freddie. Flying Dun is a good horse. I think he can carry the weight and win. Duchess Sue likes the wet, as does Velos Machine. Seriously hot. Noble work up to 2,000 metres and 2 bets to finish it off in the last. Yeah, similar for me. Profumo, something small. Moments and Ant at the prices. Miss Aria each way, I think, is one of the better value bets. Best betting race, LOU and Spione. Like a couple of roughies in race 7. Like a couple of roughies in race 8 and coming home with Mark Dell, Superfund and El Soleado. That's the Analyser at Flemington. We're going to be back to do it again next week on Racing.com.